obviously one of the byproducts of winning a lot is celebrating a lot. You played with a lot of very fun people, Wilt Chamberlain included. What did a celebration for a championship or something like that look like back then?
Well, we didn't win. We only won once. We got in the finals 9 times and only won once. And unfortunately, our celebrations were of sorrow. uh, you know, what could we have done different? You know, I've often said there's more stories in a losing locker room than there are in a winning locker room. All you hear is praise, and they don't see the torment that goes on in a visitor's locker room that has lost or a winning team. The mood is completely different. The toll of a regular season, and then it's like you start the season and you know it's going to be a marathon. You
Right.
get to the playoff, you know it's going to be a sprint. And sometimes you lose by a step, sometimes you lose by five steps. And every once in a while, and especially in my career, we had a big lead and we won the race. But the stories, the sadness, how you feel after the season's over, you just feel worthless because, you know, people say, well, what do you play for? Well, actually, you play for a couple things. You play for the city you're in, and particularly in cities which really embrace professional teams. And also you play for the people you're playing with, the people who work for an organization. You play for them. So it's not something that goes away very quickly. It makes you angry. You have all this range of emotions. And, you know, everyone will say, well, you know, you were one of the last 2 teams standing. Well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough, because I think people are conditioned to win. And some people, let's face it, are more competitive than others.
I think we all know which one you are of those two. But, you know, all that said, I think it's so fascinating because when you look at, you know, what I associate that final championship with just as a fan is, you know, for baseball, they got all the champagne, basketball, they have all the champagne. And then when the people who are working on staff realize they're not going to win, they take it out of the locker room, all the cameras leave. And in that losing locker room, there's no media, there's, you know, no photographers, they're all in the winning locker room. And I wish that there were more people capturing those losing moments, because those being documented, I feel like that's a lot more motivating to see somebody go from that to the championship rather than just win. Do you share that?
Well, oh, for sure. As I mentioned to you, the thing that's really difficult is you play the whole regular season, okay, to prove that you're one of the best teams, and you get in. Let's say you get in the finals, regardless of where it is, football, World Series, hockey, basketball. You're playing the 7th and final game to determine who's the championship. And I just want you to imagine the emotion in the locker room for each team that's playing for a championship. And sometimes you can go out there and have players really lay eggs, can't catch the ball, can't shoot it. People always use the word, well, they were too nervous or they choked, right? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think sometimes destiny plays a huge part of it. You know, ball bouncing a certain way for you. Effort will sometimes even that out if your effort's good. But at the end of the day, someone's going to lose and someone's not going to lose. But can you imagine playing one game to decide a whole season, one game to decide a whole playoff? Almost doesn't seem fair.
No, I wouldn't fare very well in March Madness.
Oh, yeah. Well, March Madness is going to be, there's going to be going forward, there's going to be a lot of smaller schools winning it for a lot of reasons, but one in particular, the kids stay in school longer. If there are these power schools who used to be able to dominate the country anymore, kids are not going for that anymore. They're going to go for a chance where they get to play right away. And maybe not even go out of state, play for their home university.
Totally.
And I think you're going to see more and more of that. But you're going to see these mid-majors, because very rarely do they have a kid that leaves school early. Very rarely. And they get coached for 4 years. The coaches at these mid-major schools are terrific. And they build a program by going out and recruiting kids that no one else really looks at that much. So there's an incredible amount of loyalty for these kids who go there, get an opportunity to play, but they can see themselves get better every year. But more importantly, they do play as a team. And it's fun to play on a team and not with a bunch of individuals. And a lot of times when these young kids get out there, coaches coach them, but at the end of the day, their talent is so enormous. And the only thing preventing them from being professional players is just probably age. And so they go to school for 1 year and they're gone. And how can you be as good as you were if you'd stay in school at least 2 years?
Totally.
If there's one rule I'd like to see changed, I think kids should go to school for 2 years and then come out. I think it would benefit both them and the professional game. But I've often said, if you can get killed in a war at 18 years of age, why can't you go and pursue your dreams, whatever they may be in life?